are going to be going through it. And if you have personal questions, of course, you can stay with me afterwards and I'll be happy to spend as much time with you. Okay. So, so Connor, I see your hand raised. What would you like to ask me?
I was wondering, I know it's like true and false, and there's three like short answer questions. Could you maybe give us like a couple example questions of what we could like expect, like how they're formatted?
Sure. Okay. So one is give you examples of what true, false, and multiple choice questions are. What other questions before I do a review? Anything else? Maya, you were just stretching or what? It's just stretching. Okay. Maya, you want to basically just so we see. Okay. Anything else? All right. So let's do this. This is my goal today. One is I want to talk about the next part of our semester. We have an assignment that I am releasing today to talk about. And then Lily, did you want to mention anything about the Notebook LM, about their open links, or is that pretty much?
Yeah, I sent out an announcement, I think around like 4:15 today, about like making sure that your Notebook LM audio and video links are accessible to anyone with a link. Because I was going through grading and majority of the ones that I went through did not, they had limited access on those links. Not the Zoom link or the YouTube link, but specifically the Notebook LM audio and video links. So just make sure that those are available, because then there's not a lot for me to grade if I can't see those links.
Right, and you wouldn't want to give everybody zeros when they did all that work. So,
right.
So Kristen, did you understand what Lily said?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She said that we have to make sure the audio and video links for Notebook LM like are allowed on like full access.
Okay. And why do you think that's happening? Why do you think she's being presented with that problem?
Because like the audio and like the video overviews are specifically on like people's accounts. So if you don't allow access, then maybe Notebook LM like asks you to like sign in before you access those.
Okay, what is the default? I'm using this as an example, Connor, of basically understanding the concepts. By default, what does Notebook LM do for the links? Do they make it private or public? What do you think, Kristen?
They make it like private, so you have to like sign in to like access it.
They make it private. By default, Notebook LM, Google Notebook LM makes their link private. So the question is, why do they do that? Is there any reasoning why they would do that? Everybody understand my question?
If you have like private information that you don't want other people knowing, maybe you put like personal stuff into it. I don't know.
Basically, Connor, what is it? Is they're making a person deliberately make it public, that they know that they are making their data and the summary of their data public. So if you had a company, Connor, and you told your employees, let's standardize a Notebook LM to do summaries of our projections, you basically would assume that you would want to keep it private. And by default, you wouldn't want your employees who may not know Notebook LM, if it were set as public by default, by mistake, they would have made it. So if they err on the sense of keep it private. So somebody like Lily would have to approach, let's say these were all the employees, let's now make it public. Do you understand? Everybody understand? That's the idea of protection of what? Sensitive information. Does that answer Do you understand that, Kristen? So by default, Notebook LM is keeping it private, and they're having you opt in to actually say, I want to make it public, rather than the other way. They're protecting your privacy. You have to announce you want it differently. Benjamin, question.
I just got a question regarding the Notebook LM access stuff. So if mine was restricted and I went on to Notebook LM and like changed that setting, is that like okay now, or do I still have to go back on the Blackboard and like resubmit the link now that I made it public?
Answer that question right now. Let's see if I can access it.
Did you
Okay.
do it, Benjamin?
Yeah, I switched it on Notebook LM, but I didn't submit a new link on Blackboard.
Did you do that for the
Is it a different link? Do they give you a different link?
I'm not sure. I would have to
I would think they would
pair
give you
them.
a different link.
I can access it now. You don't
You
need to
You
change your
can?
link. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You don't
All
need to
right.
change your link.
Thank you.
Perfect. Extra credit, Benjamin. See, in real time, we got the answer, right?
Let's go.
And that's why, Benjamin, it's difficult for you to see it. Why it's sometimes good when you do your own work, you should ask your group members to check it, because it is always going to work for you because you're inside your own account. Right? So it's good even to check that. Perfect. So all you did was you just made it open.
Yeah, you just go on to like the share feature and
Make it shareable.
yeah, make it anyone with a link. But I think the reason that mine wasn't working is because I just copied it right after I switched that setting, but you have to press like save after and then go back into it, I think.
Yeah, probably. Right. That you just didn't do it. It wants you to, it almost makes that double feature. Now it saves the new link.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect. Any other comments, questions? So it's great. So what did you think about the Notebook LM, Benjamin?
I just think it's a very useful tool, especially for like students like especially us, because I mean I've already used it for other classes. It's just
Yeah.
I didn't really know that like artificial intelligence was that good. Um, just like
It's
the
gotten better.
podcast really helpful and stuff. You could just do so much. Like I feel like if you don't study like a particular way, then it gives you a bunch of different alternatives to where you can find like what study method works the best for you.
You know what's funny, Benjamin? I just got an email from Google Notebook LM. They're having a new product, Benjamin, called
A new product?
Learn Your Own Way.
What does that do?
It supposedly goes even in more in depth. It's like Notebook LM on steroids. That's what I understand. So it's
That
just
seems
as you
pretty
said,
crazy.
people learn in different ways. This will go into more if you're more of an audio person that learns more visual, goes into more steps. I'm going to have to look at it. It's still in beta. So they invited me to look at it. So if we
Seems
can,
intriguing.
once I look at it, and maybe I'll ask them if we can look at it in beta. Right now, I think you can't put in your own information. You're just seeing kind of like their front end and using their information, but you can go more in depth. And they're calling it now, just like you said, learn your own way.
Yeah.
So they found this was done as just as a side project, this Notebook LM. It was just a few group of people from Google said, let's try this. And it became so viral so quickly. And they keep on improving. Even Lily, remember, we even seen improvements from last semester. So this semester, even they're having a new product. It's kind of like an advanced feature of Notebook LM. So I'll let you know when it comes out that maybe we can use it even at for our second test. Who knows, that we're doing. Okay, great. Anything else? So let me share my screen. And let's see here. I don't want this one. I have so many of these. Let's do this one. Okay. Here everybody looks good. See, this is nice, Lily. We're now online with Dr. Rush. You're to Dr. Rush squared. You see that?
On my end it shows I changed my name, but maybe not.
But anyways, also this may be, notice this is back, you know what I mean? It's tending to be latent, but anyways, so let somebody do that. Okay, so let's see where we are. We're on J. Let's go to what's due. I'm going to go to what's due here, and let me turn this off. And we can see number one, the assignments were due today. So if you have any problem with your link, get it done now. You can see how quickly you can do it. You should be able to do it by the end of the day, so Lily can grade it and not count you off. Okay. The next one is for PowerPoint, the review. I'll go over the review guide with you in a moment, and we'll go over all the parts. When we come back on the 15th, I think after our long assignments, we will start on our final project. And what I like about we also have, I made it on the 20th, so you don't have, some of you will be busy doing other curricular activities during fall break. I have cloud computing that we will discuss on the tech guide, the adaptive assignments and the quizzes. This is straightforward. And then we have our final project that we will work in teams. And this is one thing I want to look at quickly for you to see what we're going to be doing for the next section of our project. So I'm going to go to the audit assignment instructions, and this is your audit assignment instructions, where this assignment for the next part of our class is we will be in teams, and each team will be a AI consultant. You will pick as a team, you will pick a certain business sector, and you will give services to give AI consulting services to the outside world, specifically to people in your industry. You will showcase tools that you can do, how you can improve efficiency, how you can get closer to your customers, how you can help in return on venture. You'll work as a team. And in the beginning, I want you to look at least 3 AI tools that you'll be exploring to offer free consulting services. After this amount, you'll be doing more research, but I want you to do one bit of research. And of course, in terms of what you choose and what tools, you can ask AI to help you. The goal is for all of you to get a deep understanding of the state of Gen AI and learn how these tools can help and offer trust with your clients. So if I go into this PDF, you will see that this is your PDF that you will need to do. I'm giving it to you today so you can start thinking about it, and you can work with your team to figure out what you want to do. Along the way, you can reach out to me or Lily to see if you have for any questions, and you'll create a group in your content folder called project, and you will then choose examples. Here I'm giving you examples, but you can use others. A lot of students wanted, since they're in finance, wanted to do wealth management. You can show wealth management, how to use AI tools, general business consulting. You can be in marketing, small businesses. You can offer it to real estate, job-seeking students that are looking for jobs. You can do for internships. You can do for human resources. You can do for mental health, helping students manage their mental health issues. You can choose tutoring, helping students learn. You may want to even help them with tools, chatbots for companies, healthcare. You need to identify at least 3 tools, and you need to create a proposal for that gives your company ID a name, targeted use cases, and I want you to come up with at least 2 proposals, and you can rank order which proposal you like better, and you need my approval before you proceed with the project. Okay? And if I go to even this was a group in which I did it last semester. You can see here that you have where you have this was with Daniel and student Sebastian. So you can see their example, and with their final project, you can see here was their proposal, and they gave their proposal, and this is easy in the proposal. It can be short. So the proposal is the service or consulting company and name, the mission, the choice of AI tools, what are the solution, your AI projects, and the business type. And then you can see this was approved by me.
Things out. I feel like
and then
massive win at home.
Benjamin, you want to mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
And then you can see here was another one, the choice of AI tools and targeted. And what I wanted to show you, if you look under the assignment groups, I can show you what the final project is. So this was a final project by Daniel. Let me open it up in a new tab. And this is the final project. As I mentioned before, I have an academic partnership with Wix, which is a website development company, and they are coming in on the 15th, and they are graciously giving us as a service, rather than their free version, their business plan version, which allows us, as you being my students, you get a free domain name. So instead of having Wix in the title, it says IntelliAgent.org. And you can see in this case in the home, I ask you you can showcase AI, but give AI credit. Where other people are not giving AI credit, I want you to give AI credit. So you can see here, the picture here, you can see this image was generated by DALL-E, by OpenAI. And then here it says Intelligent AI Corporation, helping AI elevate your business, a little moniker. And then you have right here, it's called VAPI AI Agent. If you think about it, then Connor, a regular telephone number, if you give me your regular number, I can call it and we can chat, right? Or I can text to you on your number. But in many ways, your number is non-programmable. There is something called VAPI, API. You know what API is, right? The V stands for voice. And what we're going to be using in this class is we're going to create using a voice AI agent. We're all going to get a phone number. And that phone number, Connor, is programmable. And instead of answering the phone as a human, you can program it that a bot will answer your phone, and you can train it to answer it for your company. So everybody here will have a phone number here, and the bot, you'll train the bot not to be a generic one, just like, remember, we did in the first class, 1-800-CHAT-GPT. You can call it this number, you can call it, it can be, it will have an LLM to it. I will have a demonstration of this, and we'll go into detail of this. It's called VAPI. So we'll have it as a phone number. Notice here, we also institute the AI podcast. Notice it's Notebook LM. Instead of talking about your chapters in the book, it talks about your company. So you'll feed it your company information, and then you can see get and cut, what we aim to do. Then it's about, you'll have an about team, about your AI, right? You'll have your pictures about you, what you do, how to get in touch. You can see here, Lily, you can have another picture with your little red bob too, but this is Lily's picture here that we have. And notice everywhere that I'm going to do it, I'm saying potential partnerships. I want these websites to be accurate. I don't want you to make stories up. So these are not partnerships. Sometimes people were putting partnership testimonials. I said, you have to be honest. Maybe the potential ones were OpenAI, X, and so forth. Then you can see here the email they can contact you with, your free offerings. One of the things I asked you to do is offer free services. They don't know you from a hole in a wall, so you want to gain trust. So you're going to put in what are your services. You can use not only the services of Zoom, of your YouTube Live. You can give, basically, you can make appointments. You can use calendars, right? Your free offerings, the videos. Each person in your group will do live videos of some of the things that you think of interest to your audience. In this case, it was comparing different LLMs, ChatGPT, spreadsheet analysis demo. This was for the community and showing this. Frequently asked questions and your contact information. What I like about this, and I'll just show you another one as to this was for my last class, and every semester I want improvements, right? Because the tools are getting better. This was a group that a lot of them wanted to do real estate. So this was really nice. They put in their thing. Notice here, listen on their AI podcast about them. Smarter real estate starts here. You can even sell your domain name. You're going to get your domain name for a year plus your website. I've had students in the past sell their entire model with their website. One of my students then sold it for another company, and they got shares in the company. So this is releaseai.org. You want to find a good one, right? Here's about the students, right? Really, I think it looks really nice. Free offerings. They did their free offerings too, their services, right? Their AI tools. You can design in a number of different ways. The Copilot Live, the notebook, the Canva, about us. And it's about the team. Fantastic. Lily, is there any?
Yeah, I sent you my link as well if you wanted to show them.
Okay, you want to share it real quick?
Yeah, I can share my link. Like share my screen like of my website?
Yeah, share your screen.
Okay.
Real quick so we can kind of see different ones.
Oh Jesus, go away. Ah, it's like blocking. Okay.
You double
This
click.
is mine.
Okay.
It's just set up
What
a
was
little
yours
bit
about?
So I set mine up as more of a like a kind of like a Wall Street prep like course on like, and we were like specialists to get you a job on Wall Street. So like,
Okay, same kind of idea, road to success, perfect, okay.
yeah, like we
Meet our team,
our team. We
and
had
then
like a
the,
whole
and
section
then
of
you also,
different guides.
everybody had social media as well. You can see down below, they had their social media account. And did you have your VAPI too?
Yeah, we had that over here for support calls and our helpful tools.
Right. And then you even had Colleen at the time, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Just to see different ones. What do I love about this project? Is it something that you can take away with? Dana, when you basically take your exam, you get your score, and that's it. When you do this project, you can take it with you. You can show it. Also at the end, the last day of class, Dana, I'm having each group present. How do you present? Via Zoom. I give you feedback. You implement the feedback, and for the final exam, instead of the final exam, we're going to have a second exam, but we're not going to have a final exam. What we're going to have is you do your project, finish up all the niceties of your project. And how are you going to present your project? Is via Zoom with no password, via YouTube, and then you can pass that on to anyone you see. So when Dana, when anybody says, what can you do for me? Besides getting, let's say, a 99 on the test and an A+ in the class, is let me show you. That's what I love about this class. But what I require is we'll have 3 more chapters after the midterm, and then probably we'll do a little bit more of new chapters. We'll have a second exam on the 17th physical. And then every week I will be giving you milestones, and you need to perform in those milestones. So Dana, like the first week, it may be after the proposal is do a first draft of your website. Then it will be, now, and your website, you can do part in AI, but then start reading it and try to basically make it make more sense, right? And then start looking at different AI tools. Every week there will be another assignment that you will be presenting to the class. You got it? So at the end, when you're basically presenting it the last day of class, I would have seen all your projects already, and I'll just give you tips and tricks on how to make it better. You're missing a little bit of this, so it won't be dragged out to the end, but it will require that the groups work together as a group and not at the last minute like it's been for some of you. Everybody with me on this? But I think it's enormous. When I go out to businesses and give talks, everybody's just so impressed. They say, we can really use this because we don't know what to do. So I'm starting it before even our fall break. And I want you to think about it seriously of what you would like to present. And come up with 2 or 3 ideas. Let me know. We will choose together. The only restrictions I have is that it can be somewhat revenue based, and that it's doable. That it's not, I'm going to invent, spaceships or something to another client. Any questions, comments about the project? So did you get it, Connor?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Comments on it?
It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, I think useful. Okay, let's now talk about what you wanted to discuss here. So if I'm going to share my screen again, let me go back. I'm in J, PowerPoint. So I know that the exam is going to be Wednesday. You have to come at 5 o'clock. You have to have a picture ID. Your laptop has to be with Respondus installed. You're going to use it as a backup, and it's 2-port multiple choice. and the open ended up to 3 questions. In terms of the format of the multiple choice, what it's going to be like, Connor, it's going to be very similar to the quizzes that you took. You know, the ones that you had like two attempts. You saw those multiple choices. They'll be in that format. There'll be even some that are very similar. There may be some word changes, you know, where one says not and the other one says without the not. But it's like when I think about data versus information versus knowledge. So what's the difference? I think about data as what? As basically a piece of data, right, that I'm thinking about. And then I have information that is going to be in context and it's going to be classified. And knowledge is something I apply. So if I think about even on questions, Connor, then on data versus information and knowledge, let's think about a student database. So I have a student grade book and I have a C number, first name, last name, test 1 and test 2. I have 5 fields, and a record is what? Or each of the rows, and Connor is one of the records. And I pass to you data, Connor, that says 99. What is that? Data, information, or knowledge?
Data.
Data. And then if I say, hey, it's C number, your C number with your first name, last name, and it says test 1, 99, it's what? Data versus information versus knowledge.
That'd be information.
Information. And then I say that it looks like that basically that 99, that it looks like anyone that was in my review session, right, got 10 points higher than others that were not in my review session. It would mean what? Data
Knowledge.
versus knowledge, right? So you know it, so it's applied. So those are the type of multiple. Does that answer your question, Connor?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so those are the type of questions that they would be asked in terms of those questions of transactions versus transaction, you know, go together, of transactions versus transaction processing systems go together, that those transactions, if I'm in Home Depot, every time that I buy something in Home Depot is a transaction, and it goes through the flow of the transaction processing system. And it could be online or batch that processes that. And, you know, it's the same thing that if I look about hardware, you know, there can be questions on hardware of the characteristic. What are the characteristics of, or the trends of hardware? And A could be faster, B could be cheaper, they're miniaturized, and D, they're more expensive, and E, none of the above. Those are kind of hardware characteristics. And the CPU, we talked about the CPU being the brains, right? And the primary and secondary storage. We talked about the whole idea of volatile versus non-volatile, right? That in this case, Kristen, between primary storage and secondary storage, primary is what? Volatile or non-volatile?
It would be volatile.
Volatile, right? Secondary storage, non-volatile, right? And the difference between RAM and ROM, that the ROM is then what? Non-volatile, and the RAM is volatile. And then the registers and where the cache goes. The operating systems, right? We talked about it, right? That you have Mac, Windows, Linux, right? Chrome operating system, software licenses, open source is that I can see the data. A lot of times open source is free. Open source can be done by the community. Proprietary software, I don't see the code. And we spent a lot of time on data governance, right? And the idea of you need to know what the hierarchy is, the zeros and the ones versus basically I just have eight of these bits make a byte, and then I know that I have the field, and in a database, a field is like what? In this case, Benjamin Silverstein, a field is what? If I have then my grade book, and I have C number, first name, last name, test 1, right? All of those are fields, right, Benjamin? And what would be a record in my test database? It's a row, right? A row in my, like in my spreadsheet. So Benjamin Robert Silverstein would be on all your basic, that data would be a record, and a file would be that sheet, and a table could be then a number of sheets together. Application program interface, primary versus secondary. In the database, right? We talked about in a database management system versus a file system. What am I trying to minimize and what am I trying to maximize? In the database, what am I trying to maximize? Do I want to maximize redundancy? No, I want to minimize redundancy, right? And on microsecond data warehouse versus data mart, I know the data warehouse is what? Historical. So you can put these in, right? That I can think about all of these. Denial of service, a distributive, these are all credentials. Basically, when I think about passwords, right, that I'm worried about, what is the idea of credential stuffing? What does that mean? You can look it up now, but the credential stuffing is what? I get a lot of the credentials that you have. What I expect a lot of times is what? Kristen, that we even talked about with the security person, that people tend to use the same passwords over and over again. So if you use the same password over and over again, I can get your credentials, and I can basically try for password hacking is I can try and do what? I can try as a bot, go ahead and stuff it into a number of websites and see if it works. If you use, pass 1, 2, 3, 4 in one website, you probably use it maybe in 5 others. So you can think about this and needing to know the differences between phishing attacks, user roles, controls. And these questions. What I like to do with these questions is you will have 2 parts. It will be one part which will be multiple choice. If you decide to do the multiple choice first, you can go backwards and forwards. It's on the computer. And when you submit, you can no longer go back to that test. Then you can open up the second one, which will be an open-ended question. I will ask up to 3 questions that are listed on this list. So if you think about it, there will be no surprises. I know there's a lot of kind of anxiety because you don't know what the test is like. This is what the test will be like. Think about it as, but there'll be different questions as your quizzes that you took, that you had multiple times, and then the other ones are 2 to 3 of these questions. What I'd like you to do is make sure that you answer all parts of the question. So for instance, in this one, it wants you to compare number 2. It wants you to compare and contrast local recordings via cloud recordings. So you should basically define what local recordings are, what are cloud recordings, and what are how are they alike and how are they different. Discuss the benefits of YouTube live streaming and Zoom remote control features. In which situations would you use each feature? How can these tools support business promotion? I don't need paragraphs upon paragraphs. I don't need pages on pages, but you want to show that you understand the question and that you can demonstrate, in this case, for instance, each of the subsets. The same thing here, define a field, right? A record, a data file, a database, and a database management system. Think about when you design a university student class database, just like I was talking about before, which data fields are essential. If it's a university student, of course, it's going to have to do what? I'm going to need a C number to be unique. I'm going to need to have a first name, last name that is unique. I'm going to have what is another kind of field is what am I grading in the student class database, right? If I have test 1, test 2, I may have the assignments, I may have attendance, which field will function as the primary key, explain why that primary key is important. The same thing for 5, data governance. You need to give the definition. Why is it essential for protecting student research data? Explain the 2-step process. You need to do each of these. So if you just tell me data governance, you will not, I am grading by points. I grade these rather than when you think about your TA's grading, your homework assignments, I physically grade these. I don't use a AI for it, though maybe later on in another semester I'll use it. But right now, I let myself read this carefully, and I want to see that you answer each of these parts of the question. If you don't answer all these parts of the question, you will get little points. I basically cover the open-ended part counts just as much as the multiple choice part. First, define authentication, authorization, least privilege. We've talked about least privilege before, right? In the way that as user roles, I want to give the user role enough privilege to do their job, the least amount of privilege to do their job. I don't want to give them more privilege than they need. I, as a professor, have the need to know what each person in my class has done. So I have privilege to see all your grades in my class. The least privilege is to do my job, I do not need to know what you do in other classes. Then provide 2 examples of how this prison works in practice to protect sensitive information. For each example, state the potential negative consequence if this rule was not followed. Also, by starting with these questions, I think, will help you with the multiple choice questions, because explain the differences between a threat, an exposure, and a vulnerability in the contents of information security. So when you're explaining the differences, you need to know what is the definition? What is a threat? What is an exposure? What is a vulnerability? And how are they different? And then compare and contrast risk management versus risk analysis. Provide at least 2 specific examples from a university setting to illustrate how these concepts work. The other one is AI-powered research assistants. Benjamin, we just talked about that, right? We're using Google Notebook LM, but guess what? Maybe for the second test, we'll use another AI-powered research assistant, but how can it enhance productivity, impact your life, explain and I want to look at it not only for education, but for business. Where do you see this technology going in the future? What improvements do you foresee? And again, this part, which is important. Discuss what you believe is the single most pressing risk or ethical concern associated with the rise of AI assistants, and explain why it needs our attention. And the last one is application program interface. Define what that is, why do we need it, what's its purpose, and we can use examples that we've used in class here, that we use Blackboard for our learning management system, and in order to get in, I also use Zoom since I'm online, so Blackboard provides an application interface to join Zoom while I'm within Blackboard. While I'm within Blackboard, I also can go to Wiley Plus. I get some score in Wiley Plus, and it can go back to the grade book in Blackboard to give the grade. While I'm in Zoom, I can live stream to YouTube, and I don't have to leave Zoom. What is the advantage then for Zoom and YouTube? And then attendance, Blackboard, I need to do attendance within Blackboard. Quickly is another application that has an API that allows one to, while they're in Blackboard, to go to Quickly, take attendance. And the beauty is, since it's an API, it goes back and forth the data. I can get the data from the attendance. It goes back to your attendance within Blackboard. So going back to Connor's question, did I answer it?
Yes, you did.
Any other questions that you have, Connor, that I can answer? All I can tell you is that you fully answered the multiple choice, not with filler words, but being concise, answer the open-ended questions. And the beauty here is I'm not here to trick you. The beauty is I want everybody to have the basic terminology and knowledge that we can go on to the second part of the semester. And we have one more exam on the 17th, which will be the same format. I will give you a study guide, and I will give you open-ended questions via that. So the second exam on the 17th, you will see, will be quite similar. So should be our anxiety should be reduced. Any other questions that I can answer? Lily, do you think of anything that I've missed?
No, I think it's just important to study the short answer responses. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah. I'd do both, but I would definitely do
both, but I would focus
I'd start with, they both count equally. So one is I would start with the short, with the short answer, because one, it's open-ended, and two, once I know those short answers, a lot of those short answers will help me with the multiple choice. And also I have those questions. So there'll be no surprises. And basically it'll cover all those terminologies in the multiple choice. I would think about how the multiple choice are framed. It's either framed as definitions or an application to it, you know? Like I gave that rehearsal to Connor, right? Data, information, and knowledge. Besides knowing what it is how would they be applied? I think it's pretty straightforward. And that's what I wanted. I'm not here to, I want you to, and in the open-ended question, I want you to think about it. You know, and think to yourself. And the exam will not, where I've told you all along, when we're studying, we're doing anything, use AI all you want. In the exam, I want to see what you know, what you've gained. But how you study is up to you. Why should I micromanage how you study? Right? However, like you were saying, like Benjamin was saying, is that each person has their own style. Why not study in your own style? I don't think there's a problem. We'll meet. Don't forget your laptop. Don't forget your ID. And one other thing is, don't forget your password to the network for UM. Because guess what? In order to get to see the exam, you need to have your password. And some of you have it kind of embedded into your laptop that you forget what it is. And guess what? If you forget your number, guess what IT says is you have to call them, right? And then you have to call them, you have to show your Zoom and blah, 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 all that other stuff. And who wants to waste all that time when you need to take a test? So that's another thing that you want to know, what your password is. Remember your password of who you are, what you know, what you are. I think we're ready. Anything else? Brooke, do you have a question?
No, I'm good. I'm ready. I
I'm ready
think.
too. So let's get that over with. Isn't that fun? So I tell you, the next part, we'll do a lot of breakout rooms. The next time I'll help you with figuring it out. Oh, another thing in the projects, Brooke, I'm a member of everybody's group. You know what I mean? So I'm there to guide you to make it better and better. That's what I'm there for. And to make it distinct. And that's what the fun is. Go try that stuff out. And then you can say, hey, I know this. And whether you're a programmer or not, and then we'll have a number of guest speakers. I'm planning to have a guest speaker. We'll get into more depth, Lily, on VAPI. I'm having a guy he's originally German. He basically decides he's going to live all over the world. And right now he's in Dubai. I think he's going to go to Vietnam because he said that would be neat to hang out. And he basically, his way to spread information is he wants to spread information about voice agents. He knows VAPI well, plus he knows all the connections to VAPI. Once you get into VAPI, how do you get to a database? So he's going to come in, and he started a school, Lily. He has 5,000 people in his school teaching them about voice agents. So he's made a whole career over YouTube. He has many subscribers on YouTube teaching about voice agents. And if you want to have a calendar invite and you're a business, he charges $175, I think, a half hour. And you can consult with him. Young guy. So you too. So he was all excited. You know, our academic partnership, he wants to come in and go into depth on VAPI without any coding with the voice agent. Neat, huh? What do you think, Lily? Giving you
it's
ideas.
cool.
Huh? It's cool. So you can work an investment firm, and on the side you have a VAPI way, you know? I met also another kid and I asked him, how old are you? And he goes, 16. And he does VAPI for these companies. He has a guy that he met on Facebook that does his selling, and he does VAPI. I said, did you ever take a programming class? No. He had no desire, but he was 16 in high school doing this. And he says he charges by what they would charge for a support person, and he takes 15%, a year or something, Kid, 16. So you too. Maybe I'll go in partnerships with one of these kids, huh? Fund them. I'll be the funder, the venture capitalist. Okay, guys. Anything else? So Lily, I think I have to promote you. Do I always have to promote you?
No, I'll just start, or I'll
Okay,
share
I'll
for
make you a
attendance.
co-host, right? And then you can do the attendance. And then I'll stay afterwards and help anyone. So is this it? Is this moving? Good. Okay. And you put it in the chat, 7321. Perfect. And then you can stop sharing. And stay with me if you have questions. Any questions you have personally, I shut off my recording and you can ask whatever you'd like. I appreciate you all helping out. Looking forward, to see each other in person. And stay with me if you have other questions. And Lily, I appreciate you finding out about the links. Now we know with Benjamin that he was able to,
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording.
yeah, please. And I have to stop my YouTube.